Many small farmers start out with the goal of farming, and their goal is way too big. They're chasing 2 to 3 acres, and a lot of them end up going out of business in 2 to 3 years as a result. That's not a coincidence. I hear the plans all the time. Somebody's working a full-time job. They want to start a farm on the side. They'll work evenings, they'll work weekends. They have kids, they have a family, and they want to do it all on this ton of land. And I sit there trying to hold myself back, trying not to tell them the dream's over before it even starts. You are guaranteeing your own failure. Today's video is hopefully a reality check for first-year farmers, people getting into farming, people who want to get into farming, to deflate some of that bubble. And we're going to talk about why scaling too fast, starting too big, is actually really, really bad, and why you'd be better off starting much, much smaller. I'm going to give you 4 principles to help avoid this trap and hopefully start your farming journey off on the right foot. Let's get into it. Principle number 1, validate before you scale. Think about it. If you were a restaurateur, would you open 10 restaurants before you can prove that you can successfully run 1? No, it sounds crazy. Yet people want to do this with farming. They start with dreams that are just too big, and their skill level cannot execute at that dream level. So you want to start with what's called the minimum viable product, the smallest possible thing that you can produce to actually validate the idea. This means in farming, you're going to start really, really small. Maybe that's just 5,000 square feet. In the first year, the goal of that 5,000 feet is to validate which crops make money, which crops can you grow well, what's your workflow, what are your systems going to be like, how is your actual market, how much do they want to buy, what crops do they want to buy. Without this validation, you're simply running on assumptions and actually gambling on assumptions, and that's not the best thing. So year 1, start small, 5,000 square feet. That's about the size of a tennis court. If you're thinking about farming in 2026, you can lay this out on a Google map or go out onto your property, put out some string lines, and see what this actually looks like. Once you've done that, and we've constrained our land, we're now going to apply success metrics, because how do we know at the end of year 1 if we're actually successful or not? We're going to want to say, what questions do we need to answer this year? Things such as, can I grow quality produce? Can I sell everything that I grow? And how much can I make per hour doing it? Then in year 1, the goal is see if you can hit those success metrics and start giving yourself a bunch of data. 1 full season where you track everything, your hours, your yields, your sales, your problems, and then look back after that first year and say, how did I do compared to how I wanted to do? And only if you hit all of your checkpoints, only if there wasn't terrible problems, then you can start to slowly scale up. Something you can do right now, find that 5,000 square feet, even if you have more land, start with the 5, rope it off, and that'll be the first constraint to help your future farm business succeed. Principle 2 is growth multiplies complexity, not profit. Here's the math nobody tells you. You think, well, if somebody makes $75,000 on 1/3 of an acre, surely if I grow on 2 acres, I can make $200,000 and double my profits. It doesn't work that way. Usually when you get bigger, when you take on more, you're not guaranteed any sort of doubling of revenue or profits, but you are guaranteed to double or quadruple your complexity. There's more soil to manage, there's more pests and disease to manage, there's more crops to plan. You need more equipment, you might need staff. This is diseconomies of scale, and it's why many people burn out and go broke very quickly in farming. Too big, too fast, because there was too many problems when they scaled up and not enough return to offset those problems. If you're somebody who has farmed in the past and it wasn't successful, here's a little audit that you can start to do to try and figure out, what can I change based on what actually happened on that plot? We're going to look at the square footage and say, how much are we actually making here? We're looking at tasks that we do. Can we weed our operation in one morning, or is it something that takes a week to do? There's a big difference between something you can bang out in a few hours and something that you have to work on every single day for a week. Which one do you think would tend to get done more? The shorter one. Take a look at these questions, and if you answer no to any of them, then realize that adding land or scaling too fast will make things worse, not better. Business principle number 3, know your unit economics. Unit economics are simply the profit per unit of production. For farming, that could be profit per square foot, profit per labor hour, profit per crop variety. Most farmers track gross sales. They say something like, I sold $5,000 at the market, but that might have taken 100 hours of work and you made $50 an hour at gross. But when you take out all your costs, you're down to $20 an hour in profit, subtract vehicle wear and tear, and you're below minimum wage. In The Urban Farmer, Curtis Stone talked about what this was like his first year.
It was incredibly physically difficult. I think a lot of people wouldn't want to go through what I had to go through. Was so burnt out my first year that I found myself on multiple occasions on the floor in the fetal position, whimpering because of how physically beat up I was and just like so tired that I didn't have any energy to make dinner for myself. Most people don't want to go through that, and I don't blame them.
Why did this happen? He was physically farming too much land without knowing his unit economics. Some plots were losing money, some crops were earning $5 an hour, but he didn't know because he wasn't tracking the numbers. People get afraid of numbers when it comes to business. I don't know what it is. We were all traumatized by Excel, I guess, when we were young, and we just avoid it like the plague. But it's really not that hard, and you can have a very basic unit economic tracker. Just a simple spreadsheet that tracks these items. Then you can apply formulas to start to calculate your revenue per square foot, your revenue per hour, your revenue per crop. All of these numbers can then be used to guide future decisions in terms of whether or not you should grow that crop the following season. Because any crops below your targets will need to get cut next season. No exception. No, but I love growing tomatoes, or this crop's amazing, or my customers love it. The numbers here, they're telling you reality. They don't care about your feelings. They don't tell you what customers might want, or that one loud customer actually might want. They're helping you narrow in on the things that make you money, and that's what you need to focus on if you want to stay in business for the long run. Business principle 3, capacity defines your sustainability. And I'm talking business owner sustainability here, not anything on the land sustainability. Every business has a maximum operational capacity, the point where quality collapses and things just start to fall apart. For a restaurant, it might be the number of tables they can serve. And for farming, it's the amount of land that you can maintain at peak quality. Yes, you may be able to farm 2 acres, but can you do so putting out product at the same quality that you can half an acre? When you're a beginner, your capacity is not what you think. A first-year farmer might only be able to realistically manage 5,000 square feet really well. The next year, maybe it's 10. The third year, maybe it goes up to 20. Exceed your capacity and you don't just grow less, quality diminishes, quality of life gets worse, and everything will start to fail simultaneously. Here's a complexity cascade that kills a lot of farm businesses. In the beginning, you're super excited. Then problems start to come up in the form of things like weeds. You can't keep up And when you start to abandon land, your production goes down, customers get angry, and before you know it, you're just not farming. Everything has failed, and it all can happen so fast. A farmer in Oregon once told me, I spent year one just trying not to drown. I didn't learn anything. I didn't improve anything. I just survived. Barely. That's what exceeding your capacity looks like. You're so busy fighting fires that you never build fireproof systems. And scaling isn't going to help. To see what your capacity might be, here's a little quick test you can do. And if you answer no to any of these questions, you might be over your capacity a little bit. Be careful getting overly ambitious. When in doubt, or not even, maybe as a rule, always apply this 70% rule. Only farm 70% of what you think you can handle. That 30% buffer is for everything else that happens. Life problems, learning, maintaining quality, and just preserving your sanity. Don't take on as much as you think you can take on, because you can't take on as much as you think you realistically could. These 4 principles aren't suggestions. Think of them as laws. Violate them and the math will destroy your farm. We have more videos coming up on basic principles like this. The whole idea here is to slow down a little bit and think about the business before you start implementing the business and running the business. What I'd love to see more of is people succeeding in this space and not rushing so fast to get so big before they can master something at a small level. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helped. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.